welcome to Missed Mando, a podcast about everything going on in the disc golf world. This is episode 1, and it is so exciting to be here. Do a little dance, a little happy dance. My name's Robbie Holden. We'll do a quick little intro of everybody here so no one's lost. These might not be some familiar faces for everybody. My name's Robbie Holden. I am a 922 rated player. I play an MA1 here in Ontario. And I am from Cambridge specifically, but I represent the Guelph Disc Golf Club. Go Guelph. That's how it's done. No, don't thumb down me. Galen, let's introduce you, man.
It took every fiber of restraint I had in my being not to boo when you said 922, because that's so far ahead of anywhere I could imagine my rating being. Robbie, you animal. My name's Galen Naidu-Harris. You can find me online at Flickmaster Flex. There may be some people that know me by that handle. I've been playing disc golf for a couple of years now. Like a lot of folks picked it up during COVID. I had a box of discs in my basement. I started playing like 15 years ago and then forgot about it for a long time until a friend was like, "Hey, we can't do anything. There's COVID. Do you want to go throw plastic outside?" And I said, "Yeah, that sounds awesome." I am an 860 something rated player. I don't know because my PDJ has expired and I'm trying to save money right now. It's tough after the holidays. I am from Milton. I typically represent the Bronte Creek and Kings Forest disc golf clubs. And very cool to be doing this with you, man. We've all known each other for a while, and I'm excited. Let's kick over to Sean. Tell us all about yourself, man.
I'm Sean Galbraith. I've been playing, coming up onto my third or fourth year playing. Total tournament addict. Played like 32 tournaments last year. I make up for a lack of skill with volume. Currently rated around 832, and I bounce between the MA3 and the MA40 division. Mostly play representing White Spruce out of Brampton, even if they would prefer that I don't. But I'm super, super excited to be hosting this podcast with you guys. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. So what
Absolutely.
This podcast is all about is we are looking to cover the latest goings on in the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Each week we host a show. We will talk about the major event that went on in the DGPT, usually elites or majors. We're also going to try and get some fun interviews with touring pros, and in particular Canadian touring pros. Tonight we have a fantastic interview to kick off this series with Canada's own Thomas Gilbert that we're very excited to bring to you. And lastly, we're also going to talk about Ontario disc golf news, what tournaments that have happened or are coming up, upcoming registrations, and then also events that we've played and how much fun we've had and how many trees we've hit.
How many Mandos we've missed?
All of them.
For us, it's mostly about the fun and not about the skill.
More strokes, more fun. As we say, we didn't drive all this way to play less golf.
Good man.
Amen. Some typical first show kind of like missing my mark sort of thing. You guys touched on one thing that I didn't mention in my intro. I have been playing, I believe this will be my 8th year of playing, my 6th year playing competitively. I played myself, Sean. I couldn't quite get you a number of tournaments. It was kind of hard to beat that number, but I played 30 sanctioned events last year, which I felt pretty good about. Did get my first win finally. Thank goodness I can check that off. And yeah, I'm super excited to be here with you guys.
Sean, this is why he's got a higher rating. There's no reason besides just he's been playing for more years.
We'll go with that. Yes.
Yeah, that's exactly what it must be.
It's the only reason.
Yeah.
Raw talent, baby. So yes, of course, we are going to talk about the happenings in the disc golf world, the Pro Tour, of course. So with that in mind, let's talk about the chess.com Invitational that happened 2 weekends ago now. from when we're recording now. But before that, Sean, you were down there in Florida for the chess talk or for the All-Star event and got to get a sneak peek of the course, the brand new, well, not brand new, new to the tour course, new upgrades on it from the Throwdown the Mountain course. Now it's called Olympus disc golf course. Sean, give us a little bit of a breakdown of what you saw out there.
What I saw was easily one of the top courses on tour. This course is an absolute monster. It there are no easy holes. We'll be talking a little bit about Memorial in a bit, which is basically a birdie or die course. This is almost like a bogey or die course. It is so hard, especially like it has almost every hole is either a tunnel, has big elevation, has a ceiling, has a very specific landing zone that you have to hit like 400 feet out, and then another landing zone that you have to hit another 300 feet out. It's so hard. It's such a tough course. Uh, Absolutely amazing to just walk around and see the we were walking around in the absolute pouring rain. That wasn't great, but just seeing the course in person, seeing the lines and the watching it on coverage, especially things like hole 17, hole 18, you don't get a sense of just how difficult those holes are watching it on coverage. Seeing it in person is just, it gives you a complete different level of respect for what these pros are throwing there.
It's an entirely different level from what we're playing here in our level. What do you think? I know you didn't get to play it, Sean, but in maybe a little bit joking, maybe a little bit serious, what do you think your number would be out there? We saw it. Well, we'll get into in the recap, but the pros best round was -8. What is Sean Galbraith shooting out at the Olympus disc golf course?
I think they would have lapped me. I would have been playing a week
Twice.
before the chess.com, and I think I would have still been playing the course while they were teeing off. It is this course, it's so tough. It's definitely like no other course in Florida. I've played a lot of them in Florida. It's like no other course that I have played in Canada. I'm in however long I've been playing, three-ish years. I'm now up to almost 140 courses played,
So off.
and yeah, 100% flex. Uh, Maple Hill was definitely the best one that I've played so far, and Hillcrest out in PEI. Not having played this course, only having walked most of it, this is definitely, I think, would be the top course that I would have played. It's just so good.
I don't
I
know
gotta
if they
say,
had stuff all set up, but what was it like for like amenities and other stuff not related to specifically the holes, but everything else that they had set up for the Pro Tour there as well?
It's it's with the Pro Tour there, they would have a little bit of extra amenities, but it's pretty sparse at this time. The course prior to being bought by Macbeth and Dylan Cease, it was only open for like a month a year for the Throwdown the Mountain tournament, so it didn't really have any permanent installations or like tee pads. So now that this property has been secured, now they can start investing in it. They can start raising money through green fees. There's like a trailer that has a small pro shop, and that's about it. Like there's just not a lot there. They've managed to make some significant improvements, including just like adding tee pads. Not great tee pads, but adding tee pads nonetheless. Um, in a very sort of short amount of time, Nick Carl did a lot of work and oversaw a lot of people doing a lot of work to bring the course up to the level that it was for All Stars and Chess.com. And I mean, the course got absolutely hammered with rain 40 hours straight during All Stars, and it did a lot of damage to the course. The amount of of hay and wood chips that they had to bring in like overnight during the tournament, during All Stars, just to make the course a little bit safe to walk around. Just an immense amount of work. It wasn't totally dry by the time chess.com arrived, but the amount of like just being there and knowing what that course condition was like when we left it, the amount of work was just incredible. It's absolutely going to be one of the most premier courses on tour and in the US, when they can get a little more amenities as the course grows and gets played in.
Can't wait to see it. Like you said, it was just recently purchased by Paul Macbeth and Dylan Cease of the Chicago White Sox, and fairly recently was only open to the public full time for the very first time. So with that happening now, with Nick Carl being there managing it, I think that the future is super bright for that course. Galen, what did you think of the course, man?
Hey, I didn't get that up close and personal look that Sean did, but it looked like an absolute beast. I mean, taking a look at it from my couch at home, looked like it was both insanely fun and insanely difficult. I mean, I love seeing those changes in elevation, the low ceilings. Like we were saying, it felt like every hole had a really unique challenge that you don't always get. If you look at like our stomping grounds here in Ontario, you have a lot of courses that have challenging and interesting signature holes, but to see some really interesting elements on every single hole, you love seeing that from, the courses on the Pro Tour, of course, are at a next level in general, but I feel like this was even a level above what I'm used to seeing. So it looked like it was absolutely amazing from a distance.
Yeah, it was awesome to watch, and I mean, like you from my couch, and maybe that's where I'd rather be instead of on that course, because it's gonna chew me up, spit me out, and have no mercy for me whatsoever.
No, absolutely not. It will. I hope to get down to play Throw Down the Mountain maybe next year, because I definitely want to play this course just to have it absolutely body me.
Look it
Well,
listed for
hey,
sure.
maybe we'll have to get the Mist Mando crew together for a little road trip.
Let's go.
Missed Mando trip to miss some Mandos.
There you go.
It's only fitting. So, speaking of the chess.com Invitational, let's go through a little bit of a quick little recap of the tournament. We had obviously Anthony Barella taking it down on the MPO side, Evelina Salonen winning on the FPO side. It was really fun to watch out there. We had in MPO, there was a four-way tie. After round one, it was Ricky Wysocki, Anthony Barella, Nicholas Antala, and new to my knowledge, Joseph Anderson, aka Joey Buckets, which might just be the coolest nickname in disc golf. It might be my favorite, maybe a little recency bias, but absolutely love it. Joey Buckets went 100% from C1X, 12 for 12 in round number one, to tie that hot round and get himself onto, I believe I saw it was his first ever lead card at an Elite Series or Major, which is awesome to see. Not sure how old he is, but I'm pretty sure he's a young guy too, up and comer. Um, Round two ended with Aunt Barella over Ricky by one stroke. The hot round was Kyle Klein, who managed to get up into third place. And then in the final round, a lot of fun to watch. Ricky struggled early, but typical Ricky Wysocki, just charging, raptor legs, chasing from behind. He hit a huge par putt on 17 while AB took a double bogey to get it within two strokes. But then AB, he nails the landing zone on 18, hits the upshot, and all he has to do is lay up for the win. Takes down his first Elite Series or Major event. It was his 88th career Elite Series or Major appearance, and he was previously 0 for 10 in Elite Series and Major final round lead card appearances, getting his first win there finally. So awesome to see AB finally do that. He averaged 1052 event rating, which is just awesome to see, and got a nice little cool $10,000 prize to kick off his season, which of course never hurts. Over on the FPO side, Natalie Ryan had a one-shot lead after round one over Holland Hanley and Evelina Salonen. Ella Hansen rounding out the lead card at 4 down. Evelina and Holland Hanley had 86% fairway hits, which led the field. But shockingly, well, maybe not so shockingly, Evelina only 25% C1X, 1 of 4, and 0% C2. in round one. In round two, Ella and Holland took the lead. Missy coming out in second place. She shot the hot round at 7 under, coming in at 10-18 rated. Just scorching out there. She was 12 of 12 from C1X and 80% from the 81% fairway hits. Both led the field there. In round three, the lead card started to struggle around Evelina. Evelina was 2 down, while Missy was +1, Holland +3, and Ella +4 just through the first 4 holes. But then Missy started to battle back, has a 2-stroke lead after 11 holes. But then to close it out, Evelina just put her foot on the gas in the last 6 holes, holes 12 through 18, or is that 7 holes? My quick math, not good in my head. Evelina was 5 down through that stretch. Missy was +3 through that stretch. And Evelina had a chance. She had an eagle putt on hole 18, lays up, taps in for birdie to win by 5 strokes. She just absolutely obliterated the field in the final round, shooting an 8 under 10-31 rated round. The next closest to her was Maria Oliva and Stacey Ronsley, who shot 3 under. Rounding out the podium, Ella in second, and Missy Gannon and Holland Hanley finishing in third. For Evelina, she was 10-12 event rating. It's her first 1,000+ event of her career. And just for context, Kristen Tatar, the consensus #1 player in the world, she has only had a 10-12+ event rating once in her career. That was 10-13 at last year's Worlds. So if Kristen, I know everyone's going to say the big thing, the caveat is that Kristen wasn't in the field. I don't know if Kristen's winning this one with Evelina and the way that she went off. Of course, things can play out differently with her in the field, but that is one heck of a event for Evelina. She goes home with $6,250, and her 1031 final round would have been the 5th highest rated round in all of FPO last season. Throw it over to you, Galen. What are some of your kind of quick thoughts on the way that it went down, either in MPO, FPO, both? Where do you want to go?
Well, I just loved the 2 folks that came out on top here in the tournaments playing out the way they did. I mean, I feel like if I look at my very recent disc golf history, it feels like both Evelina and Anthony in different ways have been knocking on the door for a long time. AB just hasn't quite had that killer instinct that, like, if you've ever seen him in person, like, you would be shocked that I'm making that comment, because that is, you know, an intimidating young man who looks like he has ice in his veins, but he's had opportunities to close out tournaments in the past and just hasn't quite gotten there. And absolutely incredible to see him take one down. That photo that I saw of him, the compilation, I'm sure a lot of us have seen, of him and Paul Macbeth, with him being, you know, just very young, and then him and Paul after he won the tournament this weekend, like, that was so cool to see. As far as Evelina is concerned as well, I mean, you know, certainly there's been plenty of hot air expelled from people's mouths talking about her being really, really near being, you know, the best player, certainly one of the best players in the world, if she could just clean up a few little things. And to see both of these 2 folks take it down, so excited for both of them, and love to see them having those great results after 2 great weekends of play.
I think what stood out for me was almost all of the players had roller coaster rounds. Like, they had, you know, below par, and then they have a little bit of a blow up or inconsistency. And I think that really showed how difficult this course is. The rough on this course is so rough. Like, it's cut your leg on the grass rough. And it is unforgiving. If you don't hit your landing zone and you are 10 feet to the left, you are basically scrambling. And you're scrambling with 500 feet to go on some holes. Like, it is such a difficult course. It is a very equalizing course, and because of that, it's definitely not birdie or die. That it was everybody always had a chance, because the next throw very easily could get you way off course, and this was for MPO and for FPO, and you'd be in trouble, and you would have to make the shot of the round just to not completely tank that hole. And not everybody could do that. A lot of people couldn't, and you could see it. You know, you would have scores going from like -4 to +4 pretty quickly. And I think that's kind of the type of course I want to see on tour more of. I want every hole to be a chance to completely screw it up.
Oh my God, yeah.
Agreed.
The pros are better than they've ever been. And, there's been conversations I'm sure we've all participated in and heard about, do you make the courses harder? Do you let the players shred? And I think there are people that are rightly in both camps. But for me, any tournament where you have an opportunity for a change in the standings on a dime, like that makes for exciting entertainment television. And I'm here for it.
The scoring spread was fantastic, and I agree. I think personally the Pro Tour needs those harder courses. Like the hot round in both divisions was only 8 under. I say only; those are incredible rounds. But a lot of the times, we're going to see, a player or two are going to pop off for a 13 or 14 at some Pro Tour events. Not all, of course. But the C 8 under, I think, is such a perfect hot round number. And only, well, I don't say only, but so much positivity and positive reviews coming from pros talking about this tournament, talking about starting in Florida, all of that. It sounds like it was a great weekend for the pros.
Yeah, I didn't hear anybody have basically anything negative to say about this course. Even the ones who got completely beat up by it, they absolutely loved it.
Yeah. And awesome to see Evelina and AB taking down some wins. Evelina has won before, but it's been a while. I think that was her first win in a lead series or major in 4 years pre pandemic, I believe. And AB, of course, getting his first. I'm curious what you guys think about the trophy that was given out afterwards, the chessboard that was given. We did hear after the event that it's going to be custom engraved for them after the fact with something on it. But as we all saw when it was given to the winners on the course, it looked like a very basic chessboard. It definitely, there was a lot of comments online about it. What were your guys' thoughts on that?
I don't care about trophies. I don't think the pros mostly care about trophies. It's fine. It's a trophy. Like they've won lots of trophies. They've got a trophy room. It's something they have to pack in the van to go off, a 17-hour drive to Waco next. And it's fine. Like it's like, who cares?
Hey, Sean, just because you and I don't win trophies doesn't mean the
I do
pros
not.
aren't allowed to care about them. Because I don't win trophies, so I don't have much of an opinion about trophies that might be in my reach. But
Recently won my first trophy. Just so maybe
yeah,
it's just
hey,
maybe it's just you that doesn't win trophies.
wow,
Yes.
talking trash, eh? I have won a tournament, but I have not won a trophy ever. So perhaps that's something I gotta try and change this disc golf season.
Robbie
As
over
far as
there
my thoughts, I mean,
flexing at
like
all of his trophies.
oh, Robbie's always flexing. But I personally I love the trend of just having wacky trophies on tour. I like to talk about there being trophies that like you would find in your garage or like in the back of your uncle's house or like under the seat of his boat. So I personally like that we're doing interesting and creative things with trophies. Maybe this
Yeah.
one missed the mark a little bit, but cool to do a chessboard instead of just, I don't know, like that trophy that we all got for participating in minor league soccer when we were 8 years old. It just has a gold thing on top of the podium. I like that we're being creative. Maybe, we look to be creative in different ways next year.
Yeah, I do like the creative trophies. Like Simon, I think it was last year or the year before, winning a guitar for winning the Music City Open was really cool. This one, I didn't really have anything wrong with it. Like obviously it got ridiculed a ton online. It's the only thing that I would think is just that it made so much sense to just give them a giant king and queen chess piece as an actual like trophy looking thing. I thought that would have been cool as heck from the I saw that idea online somewhere. But I mean, beyond that, yeah, it doesn't really affect me. It doesn't sound like the pros really care all that much about the trophy that they're getting. I think they care more about the dollar bills that are going into their bank account.
I would imagine
Oh
so,
yeah.
yeah. They
Yeah.
can buy a cooler trophy if they want.
So switching up gears, last weekend we had the Memorial Championship going down in Arizona. not on the Pro Tour in any way anymore, but still a very popular A tier. It was well attended this year. But let's send it over to you, Sean. What happened down in Arizona at the Memorial?
So, as usual, Memorial was the definition of a birdie or die event. It was basically a wide open Heiser Fest. It's a very open course. You're not playing in the woods. You've got basically bomb a shot and get it near the green, and a little putt in. And that's basically what Anthony Barella did on round 2, where he shot a scorching minus 17 for an 11-13 rated round. All the more impressive was that the one stroke that he didn't get to do a perfect minus 18 was because he went OB on hole 1 and then threw it in from there. So he ended up finishing every hole in only 2 strokes. Just so close to the perfect round. Aaron Gossage, who was coming in at minus 32, a 10.65 average through 3 rounds. But unfortunately, he kind of fell off on the last round and only had a minus 2, 10.04 rated round. And on a course like this, where it's birdie or die, minus 2 is just never going to cut it. Gannon Burr was 3 strokes behind him coming into the final round, and Goose's drop off had Gannon beating him by 5 strokes in the final round, allowing him to come from behind for the win. Over in the FPO side, Jen Allen had a really hot start. She had a 6-stroke lead after 2 rounds, but on this kind of course where it's not a huge distance course, you always got to watch out for Owen Scoggins. And on round 3, she ended up beating the field by 6. And Allen, unfortunately, got beaten up a little bit on the course. Owen ended up beating the field by 5 in round 4 and won the tournament by 8 strokes, coming in with a 983 average. Another really great tournament for Owen on a course that was fairly well suited to her game. It was awesome to see some Canadian representation out on the course as well. Canadian Sophia Donica had the second best round in round 3 at a minus 2 and ended up finishing 5th overall. And Calgary's Joe Henderson placed 8th overall. It was awesome to see, and hopefully we're going to see more of them on tour this year.
Yeah,
Gotta love seeing the Canadian representation out there.
Oh yeah, and speaking of Canadian representation, very excited that we now get to pivot to like the coolest interview you could ever hope to have for the first episode of a podcast. Guys, we get to have Thomas Gilbert on. Let's welcome him.
All right, welcoming to Missed Mando. We have a very special guest. It's super fitting for our very first episode interview. Ontario's own, tied as Canada's top-ranked MPO player. We have Thomas Gilbert joining us. Thomas, how are you doing, man?
Doing great here in Waco, Texas, getting ready for the Pro Tour, and yeah, feeling good.
Awesome. How is the game feeling coming off of 2 weekends ago, the chess.com Invitational? We'll get into that a little bit more as we go, but coming into Waco, how are you feeling going into the tournament?
Really, really good. I mean, I kind of just stayed in Florida for a little bit after the tournament and kind of just got like a little extra dial in and then booked it over here. 17-hour drive to Waco from there, and been here since Sunday. So yeah, feeling good.
Just a casual 17-hour drive. Jesus.
Yeah.
It's a good thing they gave you the weekend off, eh?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. There's some crazies that went out there and played Memorial. I don't know how they got there, but a couple other people played Mobile, and I think there was another one in Texas. But yeah, I just took it easy for that week. Concho, yeah, freshman Concho.
That's right. So so you just finished playing Olympus. How did you like the new course layout?
I loved it. I think it went from being one of my favorite courses in Florida to being one of my favorite courses in the world. I think it's a really, really amazing track. All the work they did to make it more like trekkable, like the walks between holes They put in steps, put in stairs, so it's easier and safer. They all the new hole designs, like there's probably about half the course that they kind of either added a tee pad or bath position, or made a brand new hole. I think on 2 of the holes. And I think every change was good, minus maybe one change. I think 17
17
probably I
was a
would prefer.
monster.
It was, and it was just
it's
it was a
so hard.
weird landing zone. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I liked the par 3 originally on that hole.
Oh, is that what it used to be for throwdown?
Yeah, it used to be a par 3. So like you first throw over that hillside, and then you have to throw down the gap to the basket. So where you kind of landing off the tee, if you went another 150 feet, 200 feet back, that's where the tee pad used to be for 17 as a par 3, like 400 feet.
Big difference.
Yeah. Huge difference. Yeah.
And that was definitely shown in the scores. It was playing as one of the 2 hardest holes on the course for the weekend. And I know when we were there spectating for All Stars, it was one of the holes that was in play, and it was like, wow, this is going to be a tough one, and it played out that way.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of the All-Star event, before we get into how you played at chess.com, I gotta ask, how many signatures did you get on those white pants?
So I actually played it off. I just got the exact amount of competitors that were in the All-Star competitions for the field day. So I think there was like 6 competitors each for MPO and FPO for distance, 5 each for the like approach skill shot, and then the accuracy. Yeah, and then there was 6 each for putting. So I guess what would that be, like 30 something signature, 36 signatures. And then I also got, I think, Jeff Spring and Phil Villeneuve, the tour director and assistant director.
And what's the plan? Are those sorry, Sean, what's the plan? Are you retiring those pants? Are you gonna hang them on the wall? Are they gonna be a staple in the wardrobe?
I don't know. I was kind of talking about that with a few people, and I definitely want to like hang them up or put them somewhere. I was thinking maybe just buying like the bottom half of a mannequin and then throwing the pants on those and just stick it somewhere. But I don't know.
That would be
I love
amazing.
that. Yeah, no, get a clothespin through your living room and just hang it with 2 pegs.
Yeah.
How were you not in the distance competition? The distance competition was sorely lacking some Canadian element in there, and you definitely should have been in that distance competition.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I definitely would have loved to throw some shots in the distance competition. So the way that it worked was that they had competitors. So they had 4 competitors that were in the All-Star events, like for the Team Calvin or Team Isaac, and then they had 2 competitors that like they brought in to specially do that type of skill, whether it was the accuracy, putting, or distance. So they brought in Albert Tam, which I think, yes, ahead of me.
That's fair.
For sure. And I think what they should have had, even over the only person over myself that I would probably put out there is obviously David Wiggins. But I don't think he was available for the All-Star weekend. And so they brought in, the big muscly guy, Ezra Aderhold.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine.
It's fine.
But,
yeah,
it's all right. It's adequate.
It was adequate.
But I mean, you absolutely would have smoked AB. Absolutely.
No. I would have gotten like a maybe like a confident second. I think for sure I could have gone like at least 680 on that day with the wind that we had. But AB 713 was pretty unreal. I would need to throw a perfect shot to get anywhere near that.
That was nuts.
Yeah.
I don't know. I saw you throw a praxis downhill like 480 or something, whatever that hole was. So hey, sevens might be in play.
That's easy to do. Yeah.
Easy. Geez. Well, you got to teach me some of your tips and tricks.
All right.
This is something that I was going to ask a little bit later, but kind of feeding off of that. How much do you enjoy playing to a crowd with your big distance? I was at Dreammaker last year watching you throw over the pond. You actually hit my roommate's tent with one of your drives. I think it was one of your furthest drives. Same thing at Canadian Nationals, throwing over the pond. Whenever Thomas is at a tournament throwing, there's a crowd drawn to it, just wanting to see that distance. How much fun is that? How much do you love it?
That's like one of the biggest reasons why I play disc golf and like love being a showman of the sport. Like it's that energy of people's excitement from a shot that I'm throwing that like really motivates me to like want to do it again, do want to do it better, want to do it like more extravagant, more like amazing to people, because like just the reaction you get is like priceless, of like seeing people just, oh my God, he threw it over what, threw it how far, kind of like that excitement is amazing.
You've left me speechless a few times, and it never gets old.
It doesn't.
Yeah, no, it's always awesome to watch.
So
Mhm.
so Olympus, for
Yep.
chess.com, I've seen a bunch of complaints about the tee pads, that they were a bit slick and they
Yeah.
were not PDGA approved turf.
Hmm.
Apparently Jeff Spring came out, I think it was Jeff Spring, he said, this isn't the turf that we would normally approve. How did you
Yeah.
find the footing? Certainly given how much rain fell specifically on
Yeah.
me during All-Star, the 2 days of All-Star weekend.
Yeah. So the T pads were definitely not like what we would expect. Um, they were not very good. They were PDGA legal T pads. It was the Pro Tour, the DGPT, that they have usually a different T pad that they use for most events. So like you'll see here at Lake Waco this weekend, they have like temporary turf T pads, and they're a much better grippy turf.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
it's
You
it's a
can tell
much
the
more
difference.
compact turf. Oh, huge
Really?
difference. Yeah. So the turf they use here, no matter what direction you're planting in, it will grip really good. And so it's the stuff that is more like fingery turf
Mm-hmm.
through the top, and so it gets combed over in a certain direction, and so you have to either put a lot of sand or have just like really strong bristles, because the turf will actually smooth over and become a pretty slippery surface.
I think I heard that they're looking to put in concrete tee pads for next year.
Hmm.
Do you
Yes.
think that's going to be an improvement?
Oh, a huge improvement. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're planning on doing flush concrete tee pads. The only reason they weren't currently installed is because the zoning laws
Oh,
of
really?
the property. Yeah, because it's zoned as an agricultural land right now instead of
Ah,
a commercial area, and so they can't put in any like permanent things. They can't pour concrete on the ground. That has to be like jackhammered up. They
mhm.
have to put in turf that can literally just be picked up and moved away.
I used
So
to be an urban
they're
planner in Florida.
working.
I should help them out.
Yeah, definitely.
There we go.
I know they're working on it, and they're hoping by April they'll be pouring concrete, kind of after the full throwdown series is done.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
And if there's one thing I know about disc golfers is that we're very particular. Do you have like
Yes.
a favorite tee pad type? Is there something that you get more excited about when you get there? Like I know, for me, I hear turf and concrete most often. I'm a turf girly myself, but what's your
Yeah.
number one tee pad? It's the best thing for you.
The turf that the Pro Tour is using now
It's the
is the
best.
four-way turf. I think it's the best teeing surface. Yeah. I like it better than concrete because concrete gets smoothed over time as well. And the turf, yes, it needs to be probably replaced every like 3-4 years, I think is about the period that this turf lasts, but that's pretty easy to do. It's
For
not too
Pro Tour,
expensive.
that seems reasonable.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
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 Yeah. I think the pads were 150 each, or maybe 100 each if they buy them in bulk.
Mhm.
And like it costs, I think, a couple extra $100 on shipping to get them to whatever location, but like that's very doable.
Yeah, that cost is not prohibitive at all. Yeah, and for
Yeah.
me, like as an Ontario disc golfer, I'm sure this will resonate with you too. Like for me, like turf in any weather, I'll take that over certainly, rubber, concrete
Oh,
too. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
for sure.
I don't want to be anywhere near the wrong type of tee pad in the middle of winter in Northern
Hmm.
Ontario.
Right. Yeah.
So speaking of the chess.com invitational, I want to talk and ask you a little bit about your performance there. Obviously, round one
Hmm.
for you had some highs. It was a bit of a roller coaster,
It was.
but
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
some great play as well. You started with
Uh-huh.
a double bogey, but then battled back. I think you went 5 down in the next 7 holes, including a par on hole 4, which is basically a birdie
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
that hole. And then you were -7 going into hole 16. And then hole 17, you take a bogey, and the shot that everyone has seen from your Instagram video and whoever was watching it live, the ridiculous wind slam that happened to you on 18. Just kind of take me through what was going through your mind when that happened. And then as you were tapping out on 18 and finishing the round, how you were feeling about the round as a whole with that obviously not ideal ending.
Yeah, so like for me, it's actually kind of funny because the other two, like I'd say 17, 18 were kind of the only holes that I feel like I didn't really play great. Because hole one, I actually put it to like 38 feet and then just chained out left on the putt and rolled to two steep pad.
Oh,
And so
that roll away there was rough.
yeah, and I was just like, oh, I'm like 3 inches right to being like 5 down through 6 to start my round. And so like that was a little bit like, oh man, whatever. So like I bounced back with a birdie on 2 and 3. So I was like, okay, when I shot my 10 down in practice, I didn't birdie until hole 5. So like we're fine.
Wow.
And so like that was kind of like the way I was going and chugging along. And then hole 10 actually as well, I took a bogey in a similar way. I was about 40 feet away and was like, I should probably just lay this up. Like, but for some reason I was feeling extra confident. I'd made like 3 circle 2 putts on that stretch of holes where I was birdieing a bunch and hit the cage, rolled down the hill, pitched up under the basket, took a bogey. And so like I think my circle 2 in regulation percentage that day was 16 for 18 holes. I was in circle 2 or better putting for birdie. It was just 17 and 18 actually that I didn't have a birdie look on. So that was kind of crazy. But then yeah, obviously 18, the wind shear happened and fell down. But I mean, the way I felt about it after the round was kind of like, yeah, it's unfortunate because if I even just laid up my putt in the drop zone and tapped in a single bogey instead of taking a double, I think I still would have been on like the top of chase card, and instead I was on the top of third card, which wasn't filmed, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But then I said to myself, if someone wrote on a contract, okay, you're shooting 4 under par this round, 1045 rated, are you going to sign it? Absolutely. So it's like I'm going to be 2 strokes back of the lead, shooting a 1045, 4 down round. Like absolutely, sign me up.
So coming into 18 is that is such a fantastic hole design. There's so much sort of risk reward that you have to sort of consider. How do you approach a hole like that in terms of do you go for obviously you went for the green. You obviously you have the distance and the skill to get there. What was your approach to that whole sort of for the weekend? Were you going in thinking I'm gonna go for it every time, or were you thinking maybe?
Yeah, definitely going for it every time, especially because the rules on that hole,
that weird drop zone
the
rule.
progression of the drop zone rule. Yeah. So it's like I threw my tee shot in bounds all 3 rounds. And so
Which
it's
is
almost
great.
silly. Yeah, which was
very easy.
Honestly, I was proud of that. Yeah. But the way that the drop zone rule works is if you go for it and go B, you go to a drop zone 45 feet away and you're putting for par, where it's like I could lay up, have like a 200-foot approach in a weird spot, like in from down
Up
to
a
the
cliff.
bottom of the hill, up a cliff, and something weird can happen there. And now putting for bogey from the drop zone instead of putting for par. So it was pretty much like everyone was kind of thinking if you land anywhere in bounds or you cross in bounds and then take it from the bottom, you go for it. And then worst case scenario, you're putting. Because like if you make it in bounds, the worst score you could realistic or should be taking is a bogey. And if you went OB, then the worst score you're taking usually is a double bogey. And so it's like kind of that's the way I think a lot of people kind of approach that hole that weekend.
The hole was designed to encourage you to go for it, basically, and most
For
people
sure.
did.
Yeah. Cool. And because it's an exciting shot to watch. No one really wants to see a chip. Like they want to see you throw that huge shot up the hill.
It's so dramatic.
Yeah.
How did How did hole 9 play out for you? Obviously, your Instagram shot was incredible. The across the
Yeah.
valley throw that. I mean, when I was watching, so that was one of the holes for All Star Weekend, and
hmm
pretty much all, I think almost nobody made that shot.
No, I think
Everybody was
just Ezra
turning
Robinson.
over. Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody was turning over and
hmm
going wide right
Yep.
or slamming into the opposite cliff face. Um,
hmm
so how like it looks hard
Yeah,
for
it's very hard.
it looks like
It's
a
a
really hard hole.
450 clearance to get on top of the cliff on the
It's
other
that
side.
far. Wow.
Yeah, it was 468 feet to the basket. 450 to just get onto the shelf. And I was on the edge 2 out of the 3 rounds. Like I went a little bit left, but was up top and just pitched underneath because I couldn't really give it a run. Um, Other time I went like 40 deep of the basket because I just had so much speed still coming in that I think skipped inside circle and went like back in the so that one I gave like a half in because the cliff is 20
It's
feet
right
behind the
there.
basket.
Yeah.
And so it's like you can't really send it off the cliff. That would be really unfortunate. And then the final round, I think I hit one of the branches on the tree that's like in the middle. You got to miss and fell down and just threw a putter up to the basket. So I parted all 3 rounds, which I was really hoping I would be able to birdie that hole because it was like it's my favorite shot throw probably on the course. It's
And
just that super nice late hyzer flip that just looks perfect the whole way.
there were not many birdies.
No, no. I mean, honestly, I even parring it 3 times probably took strokes on the field.
I think it probably did.
And
Yeah.
was the camera playing tricks there? Like that looked like a serious cliff. Watching it at home
Oh
from my
yeah,
couch, like
it's a
that was
good
high up. No,
80
for
foot
like
cliff,
450.
I'd say.
Yeah,
Yeah. So like it played um just a little bit. It was only like actually 1 or 2 feet above where we're teeing off from because you're teeing off a cliff down a huge valley up onto another cliff's edge. And so it was, yeah, I think 450 with 2 feet of incline at the end. But the valley floor is, yeah, 80 feet lower than where you're teeing off and where you're throwing up to.
And you've got
yeah.
a
So I mean,
ceiling.
And you got a ceiling, yes, for sure.
Like you have maybe like what, like 10 feet of sort of vertical clearance, something like that. Like it's not a
Yeah,
lot.
no, not much at all.
yeah. And then if you don't, you're throwing like we're 80 feet up. That's brutal.
Yeah, exactly.
A
Yeah,
blind
yeah.
throw up to the basket, basically.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So I take it, Thomas, that with your review of the course and how much you seem to love Florida, especially at the beginning time of year, where back home here in Canada, it's a little bit colder. I'm assuming that you love the change from starting in Vegas and more on the West Coast to now starting in Florida and being on the
Yeah.
East Coast.
No, I think it was a fantastic decision. I know it's been talked about for probably the last 5 years on the Pro Tour of doing that change, and it just hadn't really happened. But they finally committed it to this year with such an amazing course being put in and property to be able to put a tour event at. They made it a no-brainer to do because before it was always like, okay, they ran a Silver Series in Tallahassee and potentially could run a Pro Tour there, Tom Brown, but it wasn't really quite Elite Series caliber, in my opinion. And there's not really a ton of other areas that like really have a spectacular course.
Mhm.
But obviously, Olympus being one of the best courses out there, I think it made it a no-brainer for the Pro Tour to host the first DGPT of the year.
And you yourself too, I believe it was 2021. You finished off the year with back-to-back A-tier wins in Florida. So
Yeah.
it's only a matter of time before Thomas pops off and takes down a big one in Florida too.
Oh yeah, I plan on doing it in 3 weeks. I'm actually going to be most likely skipping the Texas State Championship, which is happening 2 weeks after the Open at Austin, and I'll be going back to Florida for 3 more weeks and playing Throw Down the Mountain, as they still have that 4 week series of tournaments running there, and I'm going to hopefully win the pro weekend.
Will they be using the same layout as the Pro Tours or as the chess.com, or will they use a different one? Do you know?
They we're apparently playing like 1 or 2 rounds of the chess.com layout, and then they're going to be doing a slightly easier layout for 1 or 2 of the rounds as well. It's a 3-round event, so I'm not sure which one they're going to do 2 of and which one they're going to do 1 of, but I kind of hope they use chess.com because I feel like that's to my advantage.
That'd be awesome. I think you'll.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you're the easy favorite to win that event.
I hope so.
I also love the idea of starting in Florida in March, because again, for us Ontario boys, it's very close to home. Like half the people I know and like all of their parents have been in Florida over the last month or two. So feels very appropriate for you.
Definitely. Yeah. And it's a straight down flight. Like you can get pretty much direct flights from Toronto to like Tampa, or Toronto to Orlando or Fort Lauderdale, wherever in Florida, for pretty cheap, like usually around like maybe $200, $300, something like that.
I'll take that any day.
Yeah.
So you've signed with ThoughtSpace. Let's change topics.
Yeah.
How's that going? I got your Numa here behind me.
Oh, nice.
We've got a few signature discs that have released. Is this have we seen the current stack of Thomas? There we go. We got Coalesce. Robbie's digging out his Numa. Have we seen? Are there more Thomas line discs coming this year, or are we? Is this what you're sort of maxed out at the moment?
Yeah. So we do have the one creator series, and I think the Numa will be it for now. We might try to do a second signature series disc this year. So I think I'm going to hopefully do another Coalesce and Numa this year, but then maybe also throw my name on another thing, which I'll keep secret for now because I'm not actually positive which one I'm doing. There's a few different discs up in the air that I might want to try to throw my name on, but also I'm really excited. There's going to be another big lineup of Thomas Gilbert like custom stamp discs that will be coming soon. So watch your wallet, Sean. I know you're probably going to find up a lot of them.
Yeah, I've got a few of them.
Yeah, check out that background.
I have to,
right?
I gotta confess, Thomas, to not knowing your bag as well as I'd like to. Do you have a favorite plastic for the Coalesce? Because I only currently have it in the Neb Ethereal and the Ethos, but I'm very excited about the prospects of Aura. I got to borrow one from somebody who I won't name and loved it. I'm curious what you're enjoying.
Aura is probably my favorite plastic to throw in right now. I got a couple like more flat top, like really overstable Aura coalesces that are just amazing, like for my arm speed. And I think they have a little more stability. There's certain ones that have like a little more dome to them, which will be a little more neutral, which will be good for a lot of people, I think. But I think it's probably been my favorite plastic. I mean, I've messed around with all the plastics. They sent me every plastic in the ThoughtSpace lineup to kind of test out the Coalesce when I first tried it out. And yeah, definitely Aura or the Nebula Aura is kind of my favorites.
Love it. Well, I'm excited for that to hit the stock shelves for us plebeians here that don't get sent one of each plastic.
Definitely. Exactly.
And speaking of ThoughtSpace as well, they had their signature jerseys come out for the year. Yours looks sick as always.
So
I mean,
good.
they all do. ThoughtSpace really doesn't miss on these things. What went into the kind of design plans behind your jersey for this season?
Yeah. Well, give me 1 second here. Let me see.
Oh, perfect.
Up close and personal, Robbie.
I'll drop a photo of. Oh my god! I don't even need to. That is. It's blurring in and out.
There it is.
Man,
it's getting mixed in with the blur feature of my Zoom call, but yeah, it's almost like it's still secret.
So sick. So sick.
It is awesome. I love it so much. Like it kind of inspired by like with the trees on the bottom. If you can, pretend I'm wearing it with the trees on the bottom. Kind of like a nice like Great Lakes thunderstorm kind of rolling in. That was kind of like one of the thoughts of like the thunderstorm idea of the shirt, and then they just do such a good job with like the design and the colors of it, so it turned out really really good.
As soon
Oh
as I
yeah.
saw it, I felt like the Fry from Futurama meme, just take my money.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I don't know if this is also the way you feel, Thomas, but for me, like I actually find thunderstorms very peaceful, which feels so counterintuitive.
Oh,
But
I love
this,
watching thunderstorms. That's like one of my
yeah,
favorite things to do.
like it looks badass, but I also feel like there's a calm in that storm too. That
Hmm.
maybe where you want to be mentally when you're throwing some discs at a high pressure situation. So love
For
it.
sure. Yeah.
Are you going to have a new Pride jersey coming out this year as well?
Oh yeah, definitely. We already got some of the design elements in process of being, I guess, designed, and so yeah, we're definitely doing another Pride jersey, and I'm hoping to get it out even a little bit earlier this year, or at least have some available so people are like getting them right at the beginning of June instead of necessarily doing like
Yeah,
the pre-orders at the beginning of June.
That would be awesome.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah, because that's something that people have like really come to look forward to, and they did so well, and I'm like so honestly honored for everyone to enjoy them so much. Because like yeah, they're really really fun and like good message behind them and everything. So I really enjoy making them for everyone to be able to have.
Oh, yeah, totally. I actually have a funny, very short tangent here. I have a friend of mine that is like a really good like local small town guy that plays at Brawny Creek Disc
Yeah.
Golf Club. That actually thought because I was like trying through Pride Month to post, supportive photos. Like I always hang a flag outside of
Hmm.
my house in my office, all that.
Yeah.
Throwing the jersey on. He's like, he thought I was gay for the first few months that like we knew each
Oh,
other. And I was
really?
like, no, I'm like married to a woman. I just would like to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
supportive as much as I can. So I am very
Sure.
excited
Yeah.
personally for that drop. And shout out that
Nice. I
person
love
who
it.
I won't embarrass right now, who just assumed because I was trying to be an ally.
What a compliment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I will
Yeah.
take that 100%.
So 2024 tour season is here. We've already got
Hmm.
one event under your belt. You've got Waco coming up. How do you approach which events you're going to play? Um, Especially like given, you've got most of the tour in the US. You obviously, I'm
Hmm.
sure, want to play a bunch of events in Canada.
Hmm.
And then there's the European swing as well. How do
Of
you
course. Yeah.
how do you think about like which events you want to like come back home to Canada for,
Yeah.
or how do you balance all those things?
Yeah. So like some of it is like convenience, I think, just like where I'm able to travel at certain times, like it makes most sense, like what areas are difficult to travel to or make it really like a long process. So like Foxwood is kind of like in the perfect little bubble to kind of like skip the OTB stretch, which is driving from Kansas all the way down to the bottom of California and then all the way back up to the like Pacific Northwest, Portland, Oregon, and Washington. And so I'm like, yep, I'm out. I'm flying home. I'm gonna spend a couple weeks back home seeing friends, family, playing tournaments that I enjoy, and also have titles to defend. So
Of course,
that's also
very
a
important.
big part of it too. But yeah, I think I'll be home for about 3 weeks in May. Just playing Foxwood and a few other little things in there. I think doing a clinic up in Midland with my uncle Dan Gilbert, and so that'll be really fun. And then also I'm planning on doing the Tournament Capital Open and BC Open, kind of more in June, which is like right after Portland Beaver State Fling. And then also I'll be obviously doing Canadian Nationals, which is kind of funny because it's like one of the most inconvenient scheduled tournaments of both the Amateur Open, Canadian Nationals, main state championships, and like some other crazy A tier that I would have loved to go to as well, all on the exact same weekend.
September
And but
is
Canadian
just
Nationals,
stacked.
it's crazy stacked. Yeah.
Yeah. Will you
But yeah,
be
Canadian Nationals will be the priority for sure.
will you be defending your championship at Dreammaker this year?
I will not be. I will not be
Ah,
able to
oh
this year.
well. Oh
Oh,
Yeah,
well.
good.
I would love
Well,
to
Had
come,
to
but
ask.
it's on the same weekend I think it is an Elite Plus. So
I mean, they're basically the same, really. I
basically same
mean,
thing. Yeah.
I'm sure the prize purse for a C tier in rural Ontario is about the same as Elite Plus. I'm gonna have to double check the math on that, but I'm sure it's
Okay.
similar.
well, hey,
And
Whatever.
you
Robbie's
absolutely
Robbie's friend's
shredded
tent
at
thanks you.
I
it's
know.
true. Less damage. And you absolutely shredded there. I don't know if I believe, and you could correct me if you know off the top of your head, I believe it was a 1073 rated round that you dropped at
Yep.
Dreammaker last year and just absolutely torched the whole place. So I think the course is going to welcome a year off from Thomas Gilbert as much as us fans are going to miss watching you out there.
Yeah, for sure. No, I would have loved to get some revenge because I was like a few kind of like honestly easy. Well, I say easy, but like
Easy for Thomas
doable
Gilbert.
shots to like I think I could have cleaned up 2, probably 3 strokes out there pretty easily that round. So I think I missed 2 inside circle putts and double bogey a par 3 that like is hard. It's a very hard hole, but par is very doable. And I think I was 3 shots away from like an 1107 rated round out there. I did the math and I was like, oh, make those 2 putts and don't screw up your upshot. And you shot 1100 rated round.
What is your
Holy
highest
cow.
rated round so far? That you can think of?
1093.
Wow. Where was that?
Yeah, at the Las Vegas Challenge. Back
So
for final round of 2022 Las Vegas Challenge.
screw Florida. Go back to Vegas and let's bump that number up.
Right. I need to go to Fountain Hills apparently
Yeah,
and
no
shoot
kidding.
a 17 under par and get 1113 rated round.
Pretty much
Insanity.
the definition of a birdie or die course, eh?
Yeah, I'd say.
What events are you most looking forward to this year?
Honestly, I think Europe is fantastic. There's 2 events in Europe this year that I'll be playing that I haven't actually played before. The Procol Open in Norway and the European Disc Golf Festival in Estonia.
That sounds
Both
pretty cool.
new events to me, and so I'm very, very much looking forward to those, especially because the European Disc Golf Festival will be a major next year, 2025. And as well for European Open, we'll be playing Tampere Disc Golf Center along with the Beast at Nokia. So that's also kind of in a way a new event.
Just quickly
So very
piggybacking
excited
off
for that.
of oh sorry Tom, I was gonna say quickly
No, go
piggybacking
for it.
off of that. I love this trend that seems to have cropped up over the last couple of years. At least it seems that way to me as somebody who's newer to disc golf, of like trophies for major tournaments just being like things you would find in like your uncle's garage. Do you have a favorite
Yeah.
like kind of wacky trophy that's handed out on the course of the year?
Like on the Pro Tour, or just that I've seen.
I would say just that you've seen.
Let's see.
Or is there a trophy based on its design that you really want to win?
That's
Like,
the better
you-
version
I
of my
think the-
You
question.
want the sword?
I think the axe from PCS Open
Right,
is
that's it.
pretty amazing.
It's so bad.
That was
That'd
one
be
of the
very
ones I had
cool.
in my head. It was that and the guitar
Yeah.
from Music City that were sort of top of mind.
Yes, for sure. I think those are definitely some of the best trophies handed out last year on the Pro Tour.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
The
Yeah.
image of Barsby just throwing
Oh,
up
I
that
know. It's
battle
amazing.
axe
It's
is
amazing.
just got to be one of the most epic disc golf photos ever.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And actually, I traveled with him from PCS to Helsinki on the flight to get to European Open, and he actually took it through with him on the plane. They allowed him to check it through. He had to like do some paperwork, but he brought it with him on the plane.
Oh my
That feels
God.
like a very European permission. That's no way in hell would be allowed in the US.
No, not a chance. Yeah.
The true
Wow, that's
Barsbarian.
amazing. The Barsbarian. That's
Well,
awesome.
Man.
Thomas, it has been
tour
so
life.
awesome having you on the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. It's perfect to have you on for episode 1 as a podcast, we definitely want to talk a lot about the Ontario scene. And as tied for, oh, I guess one last question as I interrupt myself signing off. I did mention in the intro, you're tied as Canada's top-rated MPO. Technically, Kim Scott Wood is the highest rated, but when you play one tournament a year, I don't think it counts. So it's you, Marty, Martin Hendel, and Casey Hannemeyer are tied as the top-rated Canadians. What's your relationship like with other top Canadians? And 2, do you have like a motivation, or is there like a group text between you guys as like who can be the end of the year top-rated Canadian?
No, I think it's a fair tie. Like, we've all played tournaments on the year. Like, for me, I don't know, I kind of think as like I'll admit I didn't play my best last year. Like, I didn't play very good, and I think Casey earned his title as top Canadian last year at the Canadian National Championship. I took my crown off and I put it on his head for that big win of his. Like, it was a huge accomplishment. And so I think, like, and even though I won a bunch of tournaments in Canada, like, I give it to Casey last year. Like, he earned it. So I obviously want to redeem myself and have a really good season this year, get that rating back up into the high 1020s like it once was for myself. Because I want to try to, I don't believe there's ever been a Canadian in the top 1030 rating bracket. So that's one of my goals, is to be the first 1030 rated Canadian.
Can't wait to see it.
That's awesome. And that was such a Canadian answer there too, which is just so Thomas. So thank you so much for joining us, Thomas. It has been great having you on. Good luck the rest of the year. And guys, if you want to say anything to Thomas before we let him go.
Do you want to give a shout out to your sponsors?
Of course, yeah. Thought Space Athletics. Thank you so much for sponsoring me. They make my tour possible, and as well make some amazing discs for me to throw. As well as just everyone else who's supported me, and all my fans out there. Like, that's a big reason of why I play the sport, is obviously the love of the game and the love of my fans supporting me on tour, doing crazy, wild, fun stuff. So super thankful and grateful for all of that.
Well, hey, you got 3 fans right here, man, and you gave us a lot of your time tonight. So thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Of course, it was a blast.
Cheers.
Thanks, Thomas.
Thank you, Thomas Gilbert, for joining us, and we will be right back on Miss Mando. Welcome back to Miss Mando. What a blast it was having Thomas on, and just so perfect for the first episode, eh, guys?
Oh, so cool, man.
Really, really appreciate his time and his thoughts on disc golf. It was wonderful to have him.
Yeah, thanks again, Thomas, for coming onto the show. So moving on, we're going to move on to some Ontario topics. I know we had the ODSA tournament schedule come out. There's some upcoming tournaments, some registrations coming up, but let's throw it over to you, Galen. Let's give a little rundown about the scene going on in our home province here of Ontario.
I don't know, man. Can we go back and hear more about how we got an axe smuggled onto a European aircraft? Because I want to hear all the, like, I don't want to just hear there was some paperwork signed. I want to know specifics. I want to know who allowed what, how on earth that came to pass. But no, sure, yeah, let's hop into some Ontario stuff. I mean, we're all local Ontario guys, so like you just said, of note, ODSA has now released their 2024 tournament schedule. And as always, there's a lot of tournaments that I'm really excited that I get to play in, and a lot that I'm really sad that I'm not going to be able to play in. Excluding the dates we've already passed, we've got 54 tournaments coming up already on the calendar, which is wild. I know that we were talking about how many tournaments we got out to. That's like almost what you and Sean played combined. 54 is great to see that the game is growing to an extent that we got that many on the calendar. Of note, we're not quite sure what's going on with the Toronto Island Maple Leaf this year. It's been a fixture of Ontario disc golf for a long time. Hope it's going to be returning, and hope to hear some news to that effect before too long, because as like a guy that, again, is relatively new to disc golf, that was one of the coolest events that I've played. I love that course. I love everything the TDs have going on at the event, the pump up music. It's rad. So curious to see what's going on there. But also kick it to you guys. Speaking of tournaments that we love, if you could pick a tournament either that you've played in years past or something that's on your radar for this year that you would say is a favorite, something you can't wait to play? Why don't we fire over to Robbie and then Sean? What are you guys excited about?
We talked about it with Thomas. The Dreammaker tournament is so much fun every year. For those that don't know, it is on a family campground. The Dreammaker family campground, I believe, is what it's called. Pardon me if I got that wrong. But it has a championship level course right on the property. So every year, a whole bunch of people that are playing the tournament all just jam pack all the camping sites. Everybody has a blast together. Last year, we had Thomas out throwing across the lake big bombs. Sad it's not going to happen this year. Maybe I'll try and go out and give a bit of a show and just have everybody laugh at how unlike Thomas I am. Maybe that's an idea we can go through. But the overall, like, just hanging out with everybody, that it's a 2-day event. So getting there Friday night, having Saturday night as well, camping out, just being around a whole bunch of people. For those in the know, you're going to hear a whole bunch of people just yelling "White Spruce" all the time, as all the sprucers love to do. And that one is so much fun. So I can't wait for that coming up in June.
The course, or the tournament that I'm really looking forward to, is the Conservation Series at Albion Hills, put on by Chainlink Disc Golf. We are so fortunate in Ontario to have so many tournament directors putting on so many tournaments. These are so much work for them to do, and the selflessness that the Ontario disc golf scene is fortunate to benefit from, it's just amazing. Albion Hills at Albion Hills Conservation Area in Palgrave and Caledon is definitely now one of the top courses in Ontario. It's tough, it's varied. It's a fantastic course, and I'm so excited to see it being used as a tournament host this year. It'll be absolutely one of the top events of the season.
Absolutely. Yeah. Shout out Jeff and Kara and all the great work that they do. To drop a little preview, I'm very excited. We'll be firing up a new club not that long from now as we're recording this at Kelso Disc Golf Course, which is right next to my hometown of Milton. So very excited to be working on that in partnership with them and Conservation Halton, and very amped up for the Conservation Series, which is going to have a whole lot more than just Albion Hills on it. So
yeah, there's going to be an event at Kelso in September.
There sure is, and I'm looking forward to it.
What event are you looking forward to, Galen?
Sorry, I'll let you hop in first, Sean, and then I'm happy to talk about my favorite event coming up.
Oh, I was just going to say, of note, anyone that wants to see what Kelso is like and what Conservation Halton has going on there, a certain host on this podcast just dropped a fire little edit video on his Instagram, showcasing the skiing and the disc golf that you could do in the winter there, which is just such a cool little feature as well. I just had to shout out that before we moved on from that course.
It was a fun little Friday afternoon playing disc golf, and then putting the skis on and jumping across the road and getting in some laps. Super fun, totally unique. I haven't never done both of those in close proximity before, and I love that the disc golf course is open year round. The skiing is not going to be around much longer this year, unfortunately. It's getting a bit soft, but it was fun to do it while it was there.
Well, hey, the skiing might be going away for a little bit, but Sean, you got to come back. We're gonna have Wednesday night club running in the next couple of weeks. We'll see what dates we can drop. Maybe we'll even shout it out on the pod when we have something a little more firm. But there'll be lots more disc golf to be played at Kelso this year. So
it's a great little venue for it.
Yeah, 100%. As far as I'm concerned, this feels like a bit of a cop-out because we're about to talk about it. But I mentioned earlier that one of my home courses is Kings Forest, and I am jacked up about the Kings Forest Open. As we're recording it, this is about a week and a half away, and we've added 3 new holes on the course. I say we've as if I had anything to do with it. I'm not going to lie. I stayed home. I did not have time to get out and volunteer the day they were doing that work, but the club has added 3 new holes. So maybe we'll actually hop into these tournaments we have upcoming the next couple of weeks. So first up, we have the Toronto Open, which stretches, of course, about 2 weekends, and of course the days that that stretch in between them. You still got time to register. It's running between March 9th and 17th. You have 2 flex rounds to hit at Dentonia and Scarlet Woods, and the winners of each division are going to take the lowest combined score. You're getting insane value. The players pack that you're getting back for a $90 entry fee is looking like it's going to come in at around $200. So you're going to get insane value playing 2 great courses on your own. Well, not on your own physically, with people that are on your card, of course, but at your own time, in your own way. Having that flexibility and having that value in the players pack is crazy. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to make it, I don't think, this year. I've been really trying and delaying to the last second my decision, because I was hoping to get out there. I might not be able to, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't, because it's an event that I was and still am very excited about, even if I can't attend. Coming up the weekend after that, we got the Kings Forest Open running March 16th and 17th, again at my home course. Amateur is full up, but there are still some pro spots open if folks want to slide in there at the last second. And as I was just alluding to, we've got 3 brand new holes. So I got a preview of those last weekend at our club event. It takes place every Saturday. Come and hang out. It's for my money, the best club you're going to get out to in the area. Not to denigrate anybody else, but I have a wicked time there. And the 3 new holes they've added are very in keeping with what you're going to see on the course otherwise, and a perfect fit for a tournament. So I always love when there's a little something to pivot from the week to week when you're playing at a tournament at a course you've played before. We've also got the White Spruce Winter Thaw, so that's going to be throwing March 30th and 31st. I got to say, this is probably one of the biggest fields that I've seen for an Ontario disc golf tournament at 247 players. Absolutely insane. That after that sort of big COVID boom, there's been some talk in the community of, are some people dropping out? Are things sliding back a little bit? Is that bubble starting to burst? Not at 247 players for a tournament towards the end of March. No way. Odds you're going to get in at this point, maybe not the best, but certainly those folks that are going to have a blast. I always love playing down at White Spruce. We had a couple of registrations coming up as well. In Ontario here, we got the Brawny and the Beast opening for its first batch of registrations March 6th. 8 p.m. And we've also got singles at the Dizzle in Lewiston, New York. If you feel like hopping the border and your passport's up to date on March 7th, that's going to be opening. Christie Lake Spring Fling, always a staple of the Ontario disc golf touring community. Registration opening next Friday, March 15th. Also next Friday, we've got the CWE in St. Catharines and the Eastern Canadian Amateur National dropping their registration as well. So as is always the case, but it feels like especially this year, a lot of registrations to hit in January, February, and March. So get your wallet out, pull the credit card out, figure out the bill later, make sure you get registered for those tournaments you want to play, because that's what I've been doing where I can. And I'll let future Galen regret it. Right now, I'm happy. Pivoting off of Ontario specifically, why don't we work our way into some broader topics, guys? Robbie, I'll throw it back over to you if you want to hop in.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess before we move on, I'm just to go off with you. I'm so excited about the Kings Forest Open. I've played it a lot recently. I'm signed up for it. It's going to be so much fun. And a great work to the club for the new additional holes there. Not Galen, obviously, as he pointed out, he couldn't get out on that day to volunteer. But so shout out to the people that actually did something to help out on the course there. I can't wait to get out there and compete for it. But yeah, moving off of the Ontario topics, we had the PDGA official disc golf world rankings officially come out. I know last year and some previous years recently, there's been a few different world ranking systems. It's always a little confusing as which to reference as kind of like the official -- player in the world. But now the PDGA has the official one come out. They actually worked with it was I gotta get his name here, Mark Brody, who helped develop the system that the PGA uses for their world golf rankings as well. It's a 2-year world ranking system where past events, as they get older, they're weighted less heavily, and the more recent ones are weighted more heavily. And we have our first official top 5s of the year. So in MPO, we have Calvin Heimberg coming in at the top spot, Eagle McMahon at number 2, Ricky Wysocki at 3. Moving up 2 spots in this update, Isaac Robinson into 4th place, and Gannon Burr at 5th. Of course, this is like I said, a 2-year sliding system, so that's why we're seeing those names still at the top. Had great years last year. Some maybe not the best weekend at chess.com, but still holding strong in those rankings. FBO top 5, of course, no surprise. We've got Kristen Tatar at number 1, absolutely dominating the field. I know, real shocker, right? Dominating the field last year. Number 2, we got Owen Scoggins. This week, this is the biggest movement I think I've seen in either side of the MPO or FPO, moving up 3 spots into number 3. We've got Evelina Salonen. And moving up 3 spots as well into 4th place is Henna Blomers. So the two Finnish sensations making their way into the top 5. And rounding out the top 5 in FPO, we've got big money Missy Gannon. What are your guys' just kind of quick thoughts on the world rankings, having a nice official world ranking to go off of?
It's nice not to have competing ones. The UDisc world rankings. I'm good with one. I don't think we need multiples. It's fine.
Yep. And I mean, we're still early on, so perhaps to preview something we'll be talking about in an episode soon forthcoming, we can get into what we think of the folks that are on that list and how and where they're ranked. But I mean, certainly has a very early list in its lifespan. You put Calvin Heimberg up top and Kristen Tatar, and you can't really complain.
It'll be interesting to see how the Europeans do after the European swing when they get on their home turf. Are they going to, start creeping up that list? Hopefully, that'll be interesting to see. I hope they do.
Something to watch.
It is awesome to already see, at least on the FPO side, 3 of the top 5 FPO being European players already. And yeah, I have no doubt that, especially with Evelina and Henna, I think that we can see them maybe rack up even a couple of wins over in Europe. They are very comfortable over there. Obviously being where they're from, not having, I mean, I'm sure they're used to it at this point traveling in the US, but there's always some advantages to being home. Kristen Tatar is good anywhere, so I'm always gonna bank on her. But Evelina and Henna especially, I think that European swing could be really good for them. And hopefully we'll see some MPO Europeans start to really make some moves as well. That would be really good. So jumping over now to a bit of a Waco preview. Waco, of course, going down in Waco, Texas. Of course, once again, we are going to see the Brazos East course. That is a feature of the Waco tournament every year. But this year we are also going to see a new course, the Lake Waco Golf Club. I haven't seen anything personally yet about any like practice rounds or anything out there, so I'm not sure what we're going to expect. But after the Thomas interview, we were talking a little bit with him off air, and he said that it could score some shreddable rounds if the wind and the rain or Texas weather is down, but if it starts to get up and get gusty, there could be some people that get tossed around out there. So that'll definitely be interesting to see. We have Kristen Tatar coming back into the field, of course, here to defend her title from last year. As you guys probably remember, Ella had a 4-stroke lead with 3 holes to play last year. She was up 1 going into the final hole, tried to go across the lake at the Brazos course and went OB. Kristen hit a huge putt to win for birdie. It was like edge of circle 1 into the wind with the lake behind it too, like just super clutch. But heartbreaking to see Ella throw the tournament away at the end like that. Of course, there was the photo of all of her friends surrounding her after the tournament, consoling her afterwards, which is a bit of a silver lining in a bad situation, seeing the camaraderie there. But Kristen Tatar back in the field to defend her title. On the MPO side last year, we had Kyle Klein taking it down over Adam Hammis. It was like standard wacky at Waco last year on the MPO side. There was, I think at one point, I remember hearing there was like 16 people within 2 strokes of the lead in the final round. Just absolutely bonkers. So with the new addition of the course this year, we'll see if it's still the same old wacky at Waco that we're used to. But it's certainly going to be fun to watch. let's give a quick little winner prediction. Who do you guys think is going to be standing at top, taking it down by the end of this tournament? Sean, let's throw it over to you.
I'm going to go with Ricky Wysocki. He's kind of my pick for player of the year. I think my early pick, and I think he's got what it takes to take down this course or these courses, and he's going to be my pick for MPO. For FPO. I mean, putting aside the obvious Kristen factor. I loved what I was seeing from Evelina at chess, and if she can get that upshot really close to the basket, and be making 50% C1X, she's almost unstoppable.
Love that. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be very boring and vanilla with my choice on the FPO side. I mean, I think if you ever pick against Kristen Tatar, it's a fool's errand. Why would you? I certainly love that you acknowledge that off the top. I mean, I also love what I saw from Evelina. I'm curious to see how she's going to size this course up and how the rest of the field will. But, Kristen's back in the field. You got to bet on Kristen. On the MPO side, I mean, if you're thinking Wacky and Waco, I love the idea of somebody that has not won through 88 events going back to back. I love AB's, well, not back to back, I guess, but I love the momentum from AB's 17 down last weekend. I'm going to go a little off the board here and take Kristen on the FPO side and Anthony Barella with another big win over the course of a couple of weeks on the MPO side.
I love that. Just to throw a little fun stat, just to kind of counter argument to your momentum from last weekend for AB. I believe the stat that I read was he became the first player in history to shoot a 1100 plus rated round and then follow it up with 2 rounds rated 100 points or more less than that round in the following 2. So rounds 3 and 4, I don't know about momentum, but I agree with you 100%. What he showed at chess.com and then that 17 under round, AB he's on something to start the year.
Well, and let me ask you this, Robbie. I know the answer for myself. I can recall with great accuracy what happened my highest rated round of my life. I don't remember a single thing about the other rounds that I played that weekend. And I'm betting you Anthony Barella is thinking about that 1100 plus and doesn't give a single flying fuck about those sub thousands, if that's where they came in, if they're more than 100 points behind. But yeah, that is a fair counterpoint, and I love it. But as a contrarian, I got to stick to my guns and say I love what AP can build off of.
No, I do love that pick. I had to throw a little counterpoint to argue you, of course.
Hey, any opportunity to argue with you, Robbie, I'll take it.
That's basically how the idea of this podcast started. Essentially, is just group chat arguments. So it's in our DNA.
That's it, baby.
But I do love those picks. I'm going to try and go a little different picks than you guys. Obviously, the safe pick is Kristen in FPO, of course. But you know what? I'm going to go. I think she's going to come back for revenge. I'm going with Ella Hansen. She had some really bright spots out at chess.com. There was some struggles as well, but I liked what I saw to start the year. She obviously has a great history at the course. I mean, in the final round last year, she had, I think it was a 5-stroke lead after 2 holes. She went birdie, and Kristen had a bogey in there. And then, of course, we talked about the 4-stroke lead with 3 holes to play. So she has what it takes to take it down out there. And I think that it's time for Ella to finally get that win, because of course she is still looking for that first Elite Series or major win of her career.
We've got 2 Canadians in the field at Waco. We've got, of course, Thomas Gilbert in the MPO, and we've got Chantel Bedinsky, Windsor's own, coming in on the FPO side. Prodigy player. It's a Prodigy tournament. I'm super excited to see her season and how she does.
Fun fact, the first recorded round of an Ontario disc golf course that I watched was her playing FA3 or FA2 at Christie Lake.
That's awesome.
There was a weird pocket when I first picked up disc golf during COVID, where I don't know if you guys remember, they were like closing courses for like very brief periods of time and reopening them, which as an aside, I'm like very much a like COVID truther, and that I think it was a thing we had to be very careful about to prevent the downfall of people in our society. But also, I think we were probably okay to be outside and throwing discs for a couple of weeks there. I don't think that's crazy controversial. Anyway, when I was locked inside, I was watching videos of courses that I hadn't had a chance to play yet, that I was really excited to play. So I watched rounds at Brownie Creek. I watched rounds at Christie Lake, and the very first time I saw Chantel play was her shredding a field very early in her disc golf career at Christie Lake. Watched that whole set of videos probably 2 or 3 times on True North's YouTube channel, and then was so amped up to get out and play those holes in real life. Not that long after the fact, when I was allowed back out in the real world. So, shout out Chantel.
Let's go.
It's really awesome to see Chantel's rise in the FPO field. Of course, taking down her first Silver Series event last year at the Mid America.
No, the AFDO, the American Flying Disc Open in Rochester.
Yeah, you are correct. And she shredded out there. So super excited to see her this year. Hopefully an interview that we get at some point this year as well. My MPO pick, because I didn't get it, I'm going to go a little wacky at Waco as well. Although maybe not as wacky, because for my reasoning, I'm going to go with Bradley Williams. Bradley Williams, I believe, just came. I should have it up in front of me to confirm. I'm pretty sure he won an event last weekend. Another one of the other ones that was
in Texas.
Was it Crush on the Concho? So okay. I wasn't misremembering. He also, I stumbled across this stat. Bradley Williams is the winningest pro of all time in the state of Texas. He has 113 pro wins in the state of Texas, which is crazy. Similar to, I'm sure, Sean's reasoning with Ricky Wysocki, who is constantly dominant in Texas as well. Loves it in Texas. I don't know if it's the barbecue or something down there. But I'm going to go a little off the board, and I'm going to say Bradley Williams to take it down in MPO.
I love that pick.
I really like that.
I like it. The one other name I want to throw out there that I went back and forth between taking is my MPO pick. A little bit of a dark horse, less of a dark horse now than at the start of last season, given his performance last year. But I wonder if we're getting a little wacky if we don't see Mr. Simon Lizotte throw some wacky shots, some wacky lines, and rocket himself up the leaderboard.
Always a chance.
Always a chance with that guy. On any given weekend, he can be the best disc golfer in the world.
I got him in one of my fantasy leagues, so I got no problem with that pick.
And Simon has no problem showing off at Waco too, because that's the course where I can't remember the year, 2019, 2020, where he on hole 18, the 450 plus foot over the lake shot, casually threw and parked the throw with a P2, a putter. So crazy that Eagle was next on the tee and he turned to the crowd and pointed out that was a putter, just so everyone knew how absolutely ridiculous it was that he did that. So yeah, hopefully we see some Simon lines out there. That would definitely be cool too.
100%.
Alrighty, guys, that is going to do it for episode 1 of Missed Mando. Thank you everybody for joining. I'm so excited to be here with you, Sean and Galen. I think this first episode went great. It was awesome to be here talking with you guys. And we will see you guys again in 2 weeks for our next episode. Until then, talk to you guys later.